Hey, welcome to the very first installment of my series, My Biggest Voiceover Blunders and How I Fixed Them. If you've watched the introduction, you know that by blunders I really mean assumptions I used to make about the business that turned out to be totally wrong. I say voiceover blunders, but I think these mistakes can happen in any line of work, especially when you're a freelancer. Here's the very first mistake, the very first idea that I thought was right that turned out to be a mistake. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Now, you don't have to be a baseball fan to know the 1989 movie Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner. If you've never seen it, here's a pivotal moment. The lead character, Costner, hears a voice when walking through his cornfield, and this voice says, "If you build it, he will come. He will come." Later he sees a vision of a baseball field. He builds the field, and shoeless Joe Jackson, a long-dead professional baseball player, turns up and asks to play catch. Now, this quote has been adapted to a business setting and changed into, "If you build it, they will come," meaning if you build something, people will automatically come to use it and pay you money for it. Like you open a store in the heart of town, and before you know it, you will have plenty of customers. If you think it's that simple, you have never owned a store. Remember that when Noah had finished building his ark, no one but his family joined him, and a few animals, of course. Perhaps you should have advertised his big boat a bit better, don't you think? The phrase, "if you build it, they will come," is part of what I call magical thinking. Magical thinking, like a lot of pseudo-business advice. It's so blatantly vague that it can mean anything to anybody. In order to make sense of it, you'd have to specify at least four things. A, what do you mean by it? If you build it, they will come. And B, how do you build it? C, who are they? And D, how will they come? The answer to the first three questions is quite easy to figure out. Let's assume it refers to a website, your website, and you hire a web designer to build it for you. They are the clients you hope to attract, but A plus B and C does not mean D will happen, does it? Just because you create an Instagram account doesn't mean you'll have hundreds, if not thousands of followers. Just because you sell a self-published book doesn't mean people will buy it from you. And just because you graduated from Juilliard, one of the best schools of music in the world, doesn't guarantee people will want to pay to hear you play. Two crucial elements are missing here. First, you've got to give people a specific and powerful reason as to why they would come to you and not to your competitor. In business, that's called a unique value proposition. In a very crowded field such as voiceovers, that's not an easy thing to do. Everybody has a home studio these days, and synthetic voices are more realistic than ever, much cheaper, and they don't need any sleep. So that means answering the question, what distinguishes you from anyone else in the business, is so important. And it has to be more than, "people have told me I have a nice voice." Secondly, you'd have to find a compelling way to let people know you exist in the first place and then entice them to come to you. If you're not loud enough, no one will hear you. What? But how do you make people find your needle in a haystack? Before you start building anything and spend a ton of money in the process, these are the things you need to sort out, and here's a subtle hint. You cannot do this on your own. You need experts to guide you and help you define who you are and what game you are playing. You may build the best baseball field in the business, but if no one knows about it or cares about it, it's nothing but an expensive dream. Saying, "if you build it, they will come," is like writing a book and expecting people will be buying it. Writing takes 30% of your time, and making sure people know about it is about 70% of your time. My mistake was to think that once I had my own voiceover website, clients would know where to find me. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Making sure people come to you is part of your job. For me, it's most of my job. It's one of the reasons I do these videos on social media and why I publish a new blog post on my website, netavoice.com, every Thursday. I've been writing my blog for over 20 years. There are over 500 articles on my site. And how many times do you think the word voiceover appears on my blog? Or Dutch or neutral English? How many? It has become a magnet for search engines looking for voiceover related content and for people looking for a voice actor with a neutral English accent. According to my webmaster, who loves SEO, my website is one of the most popular individual voiceover websites on the web, and I'm very proud of that. But if I would have built a generic website with a landing page, a demo page, an about page and a contact page, do you really think people would have come? Why would they? You have to give them a reason to come and come back again and again and again. Now, I see a lot of my colleagues put stuff out on social media, which is great, for sites like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube, because your content drives traffic to these sites, not yours. Ultimately, you want them to come to your site so you'll get noticed. At this point, you might say, but Paul, isn't that what you're doing right now? You're putting your stuff on social media instead of on your website. How is that going to help drive more traffic to nethervoice.com? Well, here's my answer. At this point in my career, I don't need to drive more traffic to my website. People know who I am and where to find me. My site is doing what it's supposed to do. It attracts clients. And by the way, if your website isn't attracting clients, it's just a vanity project taking up cyberspace. The reason I am posting these videos all over social media is not to get something out of it, like gaining more clients, but to give something back to a community of people I care about. People like you. It is my way of saying thank you. Hopefully you'll check in with me tomorrow. I will be talking about the idea that you have to spend a lot of money on marketing to gain some traction. Believing this was true was one of my biggest blunders. Now, I know I've been talking a lot, but I have a few requests. Ideally, I don't want this to be a monologue, but a dialogue. So if there's anything you'd like to comment on or ask, I'd love to hear from you. And if this was in any way, shape or form helpful to you, I'd be absolutely tickled if you'd give me a thumbs up, a like, and share it with someone who you think who needs to hear this. And I hope to see you tomorrow.